Hi guys, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, Crafting Up a Storm. It's the 5th, so we have a new 5 under 5. This month's theme is a Christmas icon, and I chose Santa. So all my projects are Santa or Santa inspired. I have a little more about our collaboration for 5 under 5 later in the video, but for now, let's get crafting. For my first project, I'm going to use this wood plank from Dollar Tree and this wood round ornament from Dollar Tree. I did fill in the hole with some hot glue, let that dry, and kind of sanded it down because I don't want that hole to show. I painted the plank with cashew chalk paint. It's very much the same color as the plank. But I'm also going to paint this wood round and start with the cashew color for it as well too. And I'm painting around the wood round, but I'm trying to leave the little edge, the bark edge to my wood round. So I'm just kind of going in the middle and filling it in good and solid. But I'm leaving that edge around the outside. Once everything's dry, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take a chippy brush and I'm going to stipple paint my Santa's beard onto the bottom with some Snow White chalk paint. I'm using a chippy brush because it does a really good job with that kind of rough stipple look to it. I put my nose back on the plank because I want to see about how far up I need to go. And I'm going to kind of do like almost a rounded circle in the middle. The sides are going to go up a little bit higher, and I'm even going to stipple along the sides of my plank. And then I'm going to also stipple on my medium craft stick as well too. The stippling adds a lot of texture to it and gives it the look of almost the fluffiness that I need. I have a scrap piece of material. I kind of did a large rectangle piece on the top. I just kind of measured it a little bit, eyed it, and cut. I didn't really measure. In fact, you can see it doesn't even go all the way across the back. If you want the back of yours to be good and finished, you want to make sure that it overlays just a little bit. But once I got the sides kind of glued down to the top, I just kind of folded it in. I pushed the two together and then folded the corners. I'm trying to just make a triangle or a point to the top of his hat. So I just keep kind of folding until I get it where I want. Once I did that, I folded it back, and that's how it's going to lay on my board. That's kind of why I wasn't really worried about the back of it. It's not going to be super perfect anyway. I want to glue down these folds so that they don't come unfolded. So I popped a little hot glue down there to make sure those layers stayed closed. And on the back, I laid some glue down to keep that fold in place. Of course, it can be done a lot neater if you want this back to look a little better. I was okay with it. Once I had my hat in place, now I can go in and add my little fluffy end to his hat. This is just one that I had from a package I got at Dollar Tree, probably last Christmas. And the glue stick is going to go along the top as the brim of his hat. Once that was glued down, I'm going to glue down my Santa nose. Pop that on. And here I went in, I wanted to color his nose, and I didn't have pink right next to me, so I mixed some crimson and Snow White, and I colored his nose, and I put a little on his cheeks. I'm going to change this. Not his cheeks, but his nose. I am going to end up changing it because the more I looked at it, the more piggy it looked, so I didn't care for the pink on his nose. but I'll worry about that later. I'm going to do his little eyes, and I just use my acrylic pen, or you could use a Sharpie, or you can paint it. Now, I usually go in with the acrylic pen, make it good and neat, and then a lot of times I'll go on the top of it with my black acrylic paint because I want to add some dimension and make it really shiny. So that's what I did on his eyes, but mainly just went in with the acrylic pen. Makes it easy. Here's where I change his nose. I wanted to make it more red, but I didn't need it to be like a good, bright, solid red. So I added a little water to the lid of the crimson chalk paint. And it's slightly translucent. Not really. It's chalk paint. So it's just a little less thick. And I just went around and covered all that pink up and made him have more of a cherry nose. Then I went in with a white acrylic pen and did the little shine to his eyes. And also decided to pop a little mouth on there. And I just drew a little half smile on the side. Easy peasy. And there's my Santa. Let me know what you think of this one. Now, of course, Santa's going to have his helper, so we're going to make a matching Rudolph. For this one, though, I kind of wanted to round my wood plank a bit, so I did get my sander out, and I just rounded the edges so that it wasn't such a square. Kind of took the edges off a little bit. Next, I went in with some mineral chalk paint, and I painted the plank on both sides with a mineral chalk paint. And for this one, I still filled it in with glue. I didn't show you that on this one, but I do want this nose to be nice and bright and red. And I went around, again, I left the edge of that, the bark on there, but I made a good solid red nose. I glued that on to my wood plank. It's down just a little bit closer to the bottom than Santa's nose is. And then I went in with my pen and I drew a line. That's basically his snout down to his mouth. I wanted a little bit thicker, so I added it. I don't think the line has to be perfect. I would have used a ruler if I wanted a perfect line, but I want it to be a little bit more natural. Some little eyes. Very much like the Santa eyes, just two little ovals. And I wanted to glue some twigs on the top for antlers. I went out in my front yard and got some branches off the tree. My tree needs to be trimmed. There's some dead branches on it, but I got a couple. I tried to glue it, just you could see in the beginning at the top, just did not want to stay. So I laid it on its side, propped it up with some silicone sticks, and then just did a really good, generous amount of hot glue onto the branches at the bottom here. And that actually did the trick. And they ended up staying. There's some drips toward the back of hot glue, but that's fine. It's holding it in place. I added the little shine to his eyes with the white acrylic pen. And because he's Rudolph and he has a shiny nose, I also added some shine to his nose. Now, the acrylic pen takes, to me, a few layers sometimes to make it white enough. So I did do that a couple of times till I got a good white spot on his nose. To the top, I'm going to add a little bit of floral. I added some of these little fir branches to the side. Dollar Tree only had glittery ones, so he's got glittery floral on him. And then little bunches of berries. And I wanted to do a bow, even though it's Rudolph, but I decided to do kind of a raggy bow. I did this green webby ribbon that I had gotten from Dollar Tree. I had in my stash, and then I added raffia bow, not really a bow, just a knot to the top. And that decorated the top of my Rudolph. There he is. Let me know what you think of this one. This collaboration is brought to you on the 5th of every month by the fabulous and talented Emily from Farm Charm Chic. And this month I am the guest host, and I am super excited. So if you're ready for some wonderful Christmas DIY, don't forget to find the link in my description and click on the playlist, and you will get many more inspirational videos for Christmas icons. Let's get back to crafting. For this project, I grabbed some Dollar Tree burlap and an empty can that I had recycled. I did also get some scrap fabric for this one. I cut a piece of burlap about the height of my can and enough to go around. I ended up trimming this up. This ended up being a little bit too big. You'll see that it's a little smaller, but I'm just going to glue the edges together. Now, later on, when I went to add the fabric, I should have added the fabric before I glued these together. So live and learn. You'll see, though, that it works out. So it's a little bit thinner, but it's still, my can will fit inside, and it'll still kind of look like a sack. If you notice, I'll put the can in there, and it still has those edges and looks like a sack at the bottom. That was what I was going for. I didn't want it to be round. I wanted it to look like Santa's bag. Now I'm trimming the top. The burlap's kind of bulky, so I want to trim the top of it pretty good, and I trim it close to the height of the can. Now I'm going to add my fabric. I ended up kind of ungluing the top of the burlap and adding my fabric in. But like I said, if I would have done this to begin with, it would have been easier. Glued my fabric to the top of the burlap, turned it around. I added my can in, everything fits good. And then I realized my can is pretty shiny through this, so I did go back in and paint it with some cashew chalk paint just to make sure my can blends a little better. Now I'm going in and I'm holding part of it with a clip because I've got it kind of close to exactly the right size. I went around with hot glue, and this is how I did it. I just kind of rolled it down into there and trimmed away any excess if I needed to. And there is my burlap toy sack. And you can use this for anything. I wanted to put some floral in it. So I grabbed, this is just a bunch of floral that I had extra, probably 1 or 2 picks from Dollar Tree will do it. I have some greenery, and then I added some floral Christmas picks. Let me know what you think. For this project, I had picked up this metal Christmas tree from Dollar Tree, and I don't remember now if it was, I know it was in the plus section, and I can't remember if it was $3 or $5. I think it was $5. That's what I put on my sign. Regardless, I'm not adding much to it other than paint, so it will end up being a $5 or less project. I painted the tree with red crimson paint, the star with white Snow White, and the stand with black acrylic paint. Very easy. I let that layer dry, and now I'm going to go in with my second layer, and I'm going to use a sponge this time because I want to develop some of that texture that I like with the sponge effect. So I did the more of Snow White chalk paint on the star, and I'm going to sponge paint the crimson onto the tree. The only thing that I left alone is the stand. I just left it with solid black acrylic paint. I didn't need that to be textured. And once everything was dry, I grabbed a smaller round sponge, and I'm going to sponge some white at the bottom edge of my tree. I'm having it similar to a Santa hat. So it's more of an inspiration piece modeled by our iconic Santa. So let me know what you think of this one. For this project, once again, I'm just inspired by our iconic Santa, and I'm going to make a garland. I'm using regular burlap from Dollar Tree and then the white burlap. I also have some fabric scraps. I'm just showing you, I did some cuts in the bottom of the fabric, and I'm just ripping it so that I kind of have some rough edges to my fabric. And the burlap I just made into strips. Very easy. I'm tying a loop into the end of my twine so that I have a loop end for my garland. And then I'm just gonna, like a rag garland, I'm gonna knot some strips onto this twine piece. The pattern I'm going to use is regular burlap first, and I'm just taking the strip and tying a knot. Burlap's not super easy to tie, but if my strip's not too wide, it works. I do have to go back in and trim off a lot of these strings once I'm done, but that's okay. So the pattern I did use is regular burlap and then a white burlap, a red material strip, and then a white burlap. So I surrounded the red material strip with the white burlap, and then a regular burlap strip went after that. So you can see this is my pattern. The material strips are very easy to put on. I did have some strings to clean off of those as well too. But I just tied the knot. And what's nice with this is if you get off pattern, you can move it over and add. I love a nice rag garland. They're super easy to make. So again, my white on the other side of the red. And then I'll finish off this with another strip of the regular burlap. And that will be a section. Here it is all done since you got the gist of it. I'm going to go in and kind of clean up some of the loose strings and edges. I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be a bit raggy, but I do get rid of a lot of this string and clean it up a bit once I'm done. And there it is. Let me know what you think. Here are all 5 projects together. Let me know what you think is your favorite, what you might like to recreate. I'd love to hear your feedback and hope you enjoyed these projects. I hope you enjoyed these inexpensive Santa and Santa-inspired DIYs as much as I enjoyed making them for you. If you did, please hit that like button. That helps my YouTube channel very much. And if you are not already a member of my crafty family, hit the subscribe button, and you can be a part of all my 5 Under 5 videos. As always, have a great day.